Most people spend their entire lives chasing success like it's some elusive animal hiding in the bushes just out of reach. They run harder, work longer, grind louder, thinking that if they just move fast enough or hustle hard enough, success will finally turn around and surrender to them. But success doesn't work like that. Success isn't caught. Success isn't hunted. Success is attracted. And it's attracted the kind of person you become in the process of striving for it. Now, this may go against everything the world has told you. We live in a culture that glorifies the chase. Go get it, they say. Make it happen. And yes, action is important. Ambition is necessary. But action without alignment is exhausting. Ambition without inner work is empty. Because no matter how hard you chase, if you're not becoming the kind of person who naturally draws in success, you will always find yourself falling short, stuck in cycles of burnout and disappointment. You see, success is a mirror. It reflects who you are. If you're inconsistent, you attract chaos. If you're disciplined, you attract progress. If you're driven by purpose, you attract opportunities aligned with that purpose. Success comes to those who are ready for it, not just those who want it. And readiness has less to do with how busy your schedule is and more to do with how grounded your character is. Think of it this way. Imagine trying to grow a garden. You can buy all the seeds, read all the books, and water the soil every day, but if the soil itself isn't healthy, if it's filled with rocks, toxins, or weeds, nothing will grow. The potential is there, the effort is there, but the environment is wrong. You are that environment. Who you are, your mindset, your habits, your emotional state, your values, is the soil. If you haven't cultivated yourself, then no amount of external effort will yield the kind of success you desire. This is why you'll see people who seem to do less but receive more. It's not because they're lucky or privileged, although that can play a part. It's because they've become the kind of people who naturally attract what they need. They've mastered their thoughts, sharpened their focus, and raised their standards. And those things send a signal, a silent message to the world that says, I'm ready, I'm serious, I'm prepared. People, opportunities, and resources are drawn to clarity, to confidence, to integrity. If you want your life to change, you must become someone who changes the atmosphere when they walk into a room, not with noise or bravado, but with energy, certainty, and presence. And presence isn't something you fake. It's something you build. It comes from deep alignment with who you attract. What you are, not what you pretend to be. You can dress up success, talk like success, post like success, but if the internal foundation is weak, if you're still reactive, undisciplined, unfocused, then success won't stick. Even if it comes, it won't stay. That's why personal development is not a side mission, it's the main path. You don't get in shape by buying a gym membership and never showing up. And you don't attract success by wanting it while refusing to do the deep work that makes you worthy of it. What's powerful about this truth is that it puts the control back in your hands. You don't need to wait for the right moment or the right connection or the perfect opportunity. You start becoming the person today, and as you become, your energy shifts, your decisions change, your standards rise. The things that used to distract you start to bore you. And suddenly what once felt so far away starts showing up in your life. Not because you chased it down, but because you grew into someone it couldn't ignore. Your philosophy is the foundation of your entire life. It's not just what you know, but how you think about what you know. It's the lens through which you interpret every challenge, every opportunity, every decision. Most people don't even realize they have a personal philosophy. But make no mistake, you do. Everyone does. The question is yours serving you, or is it silently sabotaging your future? You can give two people the same exact tools, education, opportunities, even financial support, and watch them create completely different outcomes. One succeeds and thrives, the other stalls and complains. Why? The difference isn't in the tools, it's in the philosophy. It's in the way they think about success, effort, time, responsibility, and adversity. Because at the core of every result in your life is a thought, a belief, a mental framework that either opens doors or keeps them closed. Think about it. If your philosophy tells you that life is unfair, And success is reserved for the lucky. You'll never fully engage. You'll hesitate. You'll resent people who win instead of learning from them. But if your philosophy tells you that success leaves clues, that life rewards preparation, learning, and discipline, you'll start showing up differently, not just with more effort, but with more intention, more curiosity, more hunger. Your philosophy is what determines your daily behavior, and your behavior is what determines your destiny. So if you're not getting the results you want, don't just change your habits. Dig deeper. Look at the philosophy beneath those habits. Maybe you were taught that rich people are greedy, or that success always comes at the expense of family, or that you're somehow not worthy of the life you dream about. You may not even realize you carry those beliefs, but they're there, and they're running the show behind the scenes. That's why reading books, listening to mentors, and surrounding yourself with people who think differently is so important. Not because you're not smart, but because we all need help challenging our default wiring. You can't fix a philosophy you've never questioned. And the scary thing is, most people defend their broken philosophy with more passion than they pursue a better one. They'll argue for their limitation. They'll make excuses instead of upgrades. But when you become aware of how your thinking shapes your future, everything changes. You stop reacting emotionally to setbacks. You start seeing problems as puzzles instead of punishments. You begin to notice that people who are winning aren't just working harder, they're thinking differently. They've adopted a philosophy of growth, responsibility, resilience, and personal power. They don't wait to be rescued. They don't rely on external motivation. Their inner compass is strong, and it keeps them moving even when the path gets dark. You can't outperform your philosophy. If your inner script is full of limitations, your outer life will reflect that. But if your inner script is fueled by possibility, discipline, and a clear sense of purpose, there's almost nothing you can't build, because you won't be relying on luck. You'll be guided by a principle-driven approach to life. And principles, unlike feelings or circumstances, don't change when things get hard. They anchor you, they carry you, they elevate you. But the beautiful part about all this is that your philosophy is not set in stone. You can change it, you can challenge it, you can upgrade it piece by piece, and every time you do, you start to see your world shift with it. New opportunities, better relationships, sharper focus. All of it flows from a healthier mindset. The world begins to respond not to who you were, but to who you're becoming. And that change starts not with a massive event, but with a small, quiet decision to think better so you can live better. Everyone has dreams, everyone has visions of the life they want. A better job, a stronger body, a deeper relationship, a higher purpose. The world is full of people who want more, but only a few ever get it. And it's not because of luck, intelligence, or background. The real separator, the thing that builds the bridge between where you are and where you want to go, is discipline. Discipline is what closes the gap between good intentions and real results. It's not glamorous, it's not loud, it rarely gets praised in public, but it's the foundation behind every meaningful achievement. Without discipline, talent wastes away, potential goes unused, and dreams stay dreams. But with discipline, even the most ordinary person can do something extraordinary. Discipline means doing what you said you would do long after the mood you set it in has left you. It means showing up not when it's convenient, but when it's uncomfortable. Not when you're inspired, but when you're exhausted. That's where the magic happens. In those moments when the average person quits and the disciplined person continues. Those are the defining lines that shape your life. We live in a world that worships motivation, but motivation is temporary. Discipline is dependable. Motivation may get you started, but it won't carry you through. That early excitement always fades. That first burst of energy always dies down. And when it does, the question is not, how do I feel, but what did I commit to? Discipline is what anchors you when your emotions shift. It's what allows you to keep planting seeds, even when you don't see results yet. And trust me, there will be seasons when you don't see anything. You'll be working, grinding, improving, and still feel stuck. That's when most people give up. But the disciplined keep going. because they don't just trust their feelings, they trust their principles. Think about any area of your life you want to improve: health, finances, career, mindset. The path is rarely complicated. It's usually simple but not easy. You know what to do. The problem is doing it consistently. That's where discipline steps in. Discipline says, no, you don't skip the workout today. No, you don't blow your budget this weekend. No, you don't scroll mindlessly when you should be building your future. It's not punishment. It's protection. Protection from the very impulses that have kept you stuck in the past. And here's the truth that most people avoid. Discipline always demands a cost up front. You pay now with effort, with structure, with discomfort, but the rewards are lasting. On the flip side, the lack of discipline feels easy in the beginning. Sleep in, procrastinate, take shortcuts, but the price comes later and it's much heavier. Regret weighs far more than discipline ever will, because regret is permanent. Discipline is temporary pain for long-term peace. Discipline also builds trust with yourself. Every time you follow through on a promise to yourself, your confidence grows. You start believing your own words. You stop needing outside validation because you've proven to yourself that you are dependable. And that inner trust is powerful. It changes the way you walk into rooms. It changes the way you handle pressure. You're no longer guessing who you are. You know. It's also contagious. Discipline spreads into every area of your life. Start waking up early and suddenly your time feels more valuable. Start eating clean and your energy improves. Start managing your money and your decisions sharpen. It's not about being perfect. It's about being committed. The disciplined don't always feel like doing the right thing, but they do it anyway. And in doing so, they build a life others look at and call lucky, not realizing it was discipline, quietly compounding over time, that made it all possible. One of the greatest illusions in life is believing that you can get more without becoming more. That somehow, without any internal change, your external world will magically improve. But life doesn't work that way. It never has. Growth is a prerequisite for greatness. Success doesn't exceed your level of personal development, it matches it. Every time. People want better jobs, better relationships, better income, better influence, but most of them are not working on becoming the kind of person those things are attracted to. They want the rewards without the refinement. They want elevation without evolution, but achievement never rises above identity. You cannot outperform your self-image. And you cannot hold what you haven't yet developed the character to sustain. Imagine trying to pour a gallon of success into a pint-sized mindset. It will overflow, it will be wasted, not because the success wasn't real, but because the container wasn't ready. And that's the truth we avoid. The problem isn't the size of your dream. The problem is the size of your growth. The dream is never too big. But sometimes we're too small to carry it. Becoming more means you're expanding your capacity, not just to win, but to handle what winning requires. More money means more responsibility. More leadership means more pressure. More influence means more scrutiny. Everyone wants the blessing. Few are prepared for the burden that comes with it. And the burden is not a punishment, it's a test to see if you've grown strong enough, wise enough, grounded enough to carry what you asked for. And let's be honest, it's easier to stay the same, to hope success shows up anyway, to believe you can skip the process and just stumble into the life you want. But that mindset leads to frustration, because even if you do get the opportunity, you won't know what to do with it. The job offer will come, but the skills won't be there. The relationship will arrive, but the emotional maturity won't. The door will open, but you'll still be standing in the same version of yourself that couldn't walk through it last year. Growth is not optional, it's required. Every breakthrough is preceded by a breaking point, a moment when you finally realize that who you've been is not enough to get you where you're going. That realization hurts. It shatters pride, it exposes gaps. But it's also the beginning of everything you've been searching for, because the moment you decide to become more disciplined, more self-awareness, more focused, more skilled, is the moment you put yourself in position to receive more. Becoming more doesn't mean rejecting who you are, it means refining who you are. Getting honest about your limitations, confronting your excuses, holding yourself to a higher standard, not because you're broken, but because you are built for more than comfort and convenience. Growth is uncomfortable. It stretches you. It humbles you. But it also strengthens you in ways comfort never will. Think about anyone you admire. Anyone who's built something meaningful. You're not just looking at what they've accomplished, you're looking at who they had to become to accomplish it. Their results are the reflection of their habits, their mindset, their level of personal responsibility. That's the invisible work most people never see, and that's the part that matters most. Because once you become more, you can never go back to being less. Your standards rise, your perspective shifts, your choices sharpen, and as you evolve, the world around you begins to respond in kind. You stop blaming, you stop waiting, you stop wishing, and you start building, brick by brick, day by day, the life you were always capable of living. Not by luck, not by accident, but by becoming the kind of person who naturally attracts, sustains, and multiplies success. Life is hard, business is hard, relationships, parenting, personal growth, they're all hard. And yet, the moment things get difficult, many people instinctively wish life would just ease up. They whisper to themselves, I hope this gets easier. But here's a shift that changes everything. Don't wish it were easier. Wish you were better. Because the truth is, the challenge isn't the problem is how prepared you are to meet it. If you're waiting for life to become convenient, you'll be waiting forever. Life doesn't get easier, you get stronger. You get wiser, you get more resilient, and when you do, the very things that used to overwhelm you become routine. The mountain doesn't shrink, but your legs get stronger, your lungs get deeper, your determination gets sharper, and before you know it, what once felt impossible now becomes your warm-up. Wishing life were easier is a mindset rooted in helplessness. It places the power outside of you. It says, if things change, I'll succeed. But that's not how real growth happens. The person who wins in life is the one who says, let the challenge stay. I'll rise to it. I'll evolve. I'll expand. That's where your power lives, not in avoiding the storm, but in becoming the person who can walk through it without flinching. Think about it. What if every time something went wrong, instead of breaking down or blaming circumstances, you asked, how can I grow from this? What is this challenge trying to build in me? That shift alone could save you years of frustration, because most people stay stuck not because of the situation, but because they refuse to grow beyond it. They want the reward, but they don't want the requirement. And it's easy to fall into that trap, especially in a world that sells shortcuts and quick fixes. Lose 30 pounds in 30 days, make 6 figures in 6 weeks. But real transformation doesn't happen in shortcuts. It happens in the deep, uncomfortable process of becoming better, not just better at your craft, but better at handling pressure, better at managing time, better at thinking clearly under stress, better at not quitting when it gets hard. You were not born to escape hard things. You were built to face them and rise through them. Inside of every struggle is a skill waiting to be developed, a strength waiting to be discovered. And that discovery doesn't happen when the road is smooth. It happens when the road is rough, uneven, unpredictable. That's where growth lives, not in the comfort zone, but just outside of it. So if your job is demanding, don't wish the workload would drop. Ask how you can increase your focus, your energy, your efficiency. If your relationship is strained, don't wish your partner would just change. Ask how you can become a better communicator, a better listener, a more present partner. If your business isn't growing, don't hope the market shifts. Become the person who leads with more clarity, more strategy, more discipline. This is not about being hard on yourself, it's about being honest with yourself. Because the moment you stop asking the world to change and start committing to your own transformation, you take your power back. You stop living at the mercy of circumstances and start becoming a force that shapes it. When you become better, your world gets better, not because the world suddenly cooperates, but because you've changed the way you engage with it. You think clearer, you move faster, you respond instead of react, you build instead of break, and in doing so, you elevate every area of your life, not by waiting, but by growing. Not by wishing, but by growing. Because wishing won't get you there, but becoming, well, you can't become your best self while surrounding yourself with people who settle for less. It's just not possible. The people around you, your friends, your coworkers, your inner circle, they shape the way you think, feel, act, and believe. Whether you're aware of it or not, you're always absorbing something from them. Their habits, their attitudes, their language, their energy, it all seeps in, little by little, like drops of water over stone. And over time, it shapes who you become. If you're spending time with people who constantly complain, sooner or later you'll start to complain. If you're around people who blame everyone else for their problems, you'll start to adopt that same victim mentality. If the people in your life settle for average, chances are you will too, because we as humans have a powerful desire to fit in. We mirror what we see. We lower our standards to avoid rejection. And that quiet conformity can destroy potential before it ever has a chance to bloom. But the opposite is also true. Surround yourself with ambitious people and your vision gets sharper. Spend time with disciplined individuals and your standards rise. Connect with people who believe in excellence, and suddenly mediocrity no longer feels comfortable. That's the power of association. It can lift you or limit you. It can stretch you or shrink you. It can ignite your fire or slowly extinguish it without you even realizing. That's why this isn't just about relationships. It's about your environment. You can't plant a seed in toxic soil and expect it to grow. You can't develop world-class habits in a room full of small-minded people. And you cannot stay fully committed to your goals if you're constantly surrounded by those who ridicule them, dismiss them, or talk you out of them. You need to be around people who remind you of your power, not your. Some of the biggest breakthroughs in life don't come from learning something new, they come from walking away from something old. A friend who constantly brings you down, a relative who mocks your dreams, a peer group that praises distraction and shames discipline. These relationships may not look dangerous on the surface, but they quietly erode your belief system. They drain your energy. They make you second-guess yourself. And over time, that erosion adds up. Now, this doesn't mean you cut people off with bitterness or arrogance. It means you start making intentional choices about where you spend your time and who gets access to your spirit. It means realizing that proximity is power. If you want to go further faster, you need to get around people who challenge you, inspire you, and call you to a higher level. People who hold you accountable, not just cheer you on. People who have done what you're trying to do or who are on their way, just like you. And don't think you have to know them personally. Books, podcasts, seminars, mastermind groups, these are all ways to change your circle, even if your current environment doesn't support your growth yet. You can listen to someone you've never met and still be influenced more by them than people you've known your whole life, because it's not about history, it's about alignment. It's about who's speaking to the part of you that's trying to rise, not the part of you that's trying to stay the same. So take a hard look around. Are the people closest to you pushing you forward or holding you back? Are your conversations filled with possibility or filled with pity? Are you challenged to stretch or encouraged to settle? Because every time you spend your energy with someone, you're making an investment. And the return on that investment will either build your future or bury it. Success is not something you chase, it's something you attract. And you attract it not through luck or chance, but through alignment, through character, through discipline, through the gradual intentional process of becoming the kind of person success feels safe landing with. Because success is not looking for everyone, it's looking for the prepared. Too many people run after success like it's running away from them. They chase opportunities, they hustle endlessly, they knock on every door hoping one will swing open. But what they don't realize is that until they become the kind of person who naturally attracts what they desire, all that chasing will leave them exhausted, bitter, and disappointed, because success isn't impressed by motion, it's drawn to meaning. And meaning is built in the quiet spaces of who you are when nobody's watching. You attract success when you develop habits that reflect excellence, when you speak with clarity, when you live with integrity, when your work ethic is consistent, even on the days when motivation is nowhere to be found. You attract success when you stop waiting for someone to give you permission and start building your own path with grit, humility, and relentless effort. Success doesn't respond to need, it responds to preparation. Ask yourself, would you hire you? Would you follow you? Would you invest in you? Would you promote you? Because these aren't just theoretical questions, they are the mirror you must look into daily. If the answer isn't a clear yes, then it's time to grow, to sharpen, to elevate the version of yourself that's doing the asking. Because success, at its core, is a reflection. It mirrors back the effort, the consistency, the courage, and the value you've poured into yourself over time. Look at the most successful people in any field. They didn't just get lucky. They became undeniable. Through skill, through mindset, through personal development. They put in the work long before the spotlight showed up. And that's the real secret. Success comes to those who are already acting like it before the world acknowledges it. Not in ego, but in effort. Not in noise, but in substance. You don't need to beg for success. You need to become so valuable, so consistent, so excellent, that success has no choice but to find you. That the right people, the right doors, the right timing all begin to align, not by magic, but because you've raised your identity to match your vision. And let's not forget, success isn't just about achievement, it's about attraction. Not in the shallow sense of popularity or aesthetics, but in the deep gravitational pull that authentic excellence creates. When you walk in the room with confidence, not arrogance. When your word means something. When you show up early, stay late, do more than expected, people notice, life notices, and what you've been pursuing starts to pursue you. But here's what most don't understand: attraction isn't passive, it's active. It's built in the gym when no one's cheering. It's built in the early morning grind, the late night study, the extra call, the repeated failures, and the resilience to try again. It's built when you decide to stop playing the victim and start writing the script of your life with ownership and courage. Everything you want is on the other side of who you're becoming, not who you were, not even who you are now, but who you are in the process of becoming when you choose growth over comfort, discipline over distraction, purpose over popularity. The more you grow, the more you attract, not just material things, but peace, clarity, strong relationships, aligned opportunities, and lasting fulfillment. That's why personal development isn't a suggestion, it's a requirement. Because success isn't something you pursue, it's something you prepare for. And preparation always starts with becoming the kind of person who's ready to receive it. So now you know the truth. Success isn't a random stroke of luck or a prize handed to the fortunate few. It's a natural consequence of the person you choose to become. It's the result of the habits you build, the standards you set, the people you surround yourself with, and the mindset you cultivate every single day. You have the power to attract success, not by chasing it endlessly, but by becoming the kind of person success wants to find. The person who is disciplined when no one is watching. The person who grows through every challenge instead of wishing for an easier path. The person who invests in themselves relentlessly and never settles for less than they're capable. Remember, the road to success is not about luck, it's about transformation. It's about becoming more so you can achieve more. And the moment you fully embrace that, everything changes. Your dreams stop feeling distant, your goals start feeling inevitable. The person you are becoming today will determine the life you live tomorrow. So choose growth, choose courage, choose to be the kind of person who attracts success, not because you want it, but because you deserve it. Now, go forward and become unstoppable.